Kita. Love you. Bye. Have a good day. Bye, Georgia.
So normally on a day of work, it's my job to get Jack ready and to drop him off at Kita. His daycare really is just a couple of blocks from my office, so it's a quick and easy process.
Okay, buddy, come on. We gotta get ready for Kita. Let's go.
Maybe someday when I've grown older, I can see it all clear from above. Looking back on it all, maybe I can see what was broken. Ooh, but it's a lonely calling. Yeah, it's a lonely calling.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name's Ashton.
I'm Jonathan.
And along with our son Jack, we're the Black Forest family.
So if you haven't watched any of our other videos, I am a mechanical engineer. I've been working in Germany since 2013.
And I'm a PhD student at the local university, and I've been living here in the Black Forest since 2018. So today we're going to be talking to you about German work culture and the ways in which it has honestly changed us for the better. Some of these are monumental items that are codified in public policy, but some of them are honestly just small nuances that have made us better employees and strengthened our relationships with our colleagues here in Germany.
And these are also things that have helped us improve our careers and improve our German.
Now, I do want to say that this video is not intended to lump all of German culture into one sort of stereotype. In fact, the things that we're going to bring up today, like I mentioned, have really changed us for the better. And as American workers who are now living and working full-time in Germany, I think there's a lot that we can learn from one another and a lot of things that we can do individually to make our work experience collectively much better. And if you're somebody who's new to living abroad, can actually make the transition process so smooth.
I'm done trying to fix what is broken.
Okay, so let's dive in to the very first point. And that is honestly that German work culture has taught us to cut the small talk and add in meaningful conversations. So I want to start off by saying that I think the German stereotype that they're somehow standoffish is really incorrect. You know, when I worked in the United States, it was really common for us to have small talk about everything. You started off an email being like, hey, how was your weekend? What were you doing? I saw your pictures on Facebook. That looked amazing. Okay, by the way, I wanted to ask you a question. German emails are straight, direct, and to the point. But what I found to be so interesting in working in Germany is it's not that they don't want to talk to you. In fact, they would love to learn more about you. They just want it to be in a more meaningful conversation so that when you ask, hey, how are you? It's a genuine response and not just some sort of placated statement. And one of the ways that has made a huge difference for me in becoming better integrated in Germany and a huge difference in my German language skills is to actually go to lunch with my colleagues, to take the time away from my desk, whether it's eating lunch together in the break room or kitchen or actually going out to the local imbus to pick up lunch, Those are the conversations that for me have allowed me to become much more connected to my colleagues, get to know them at a deep personal level, and practice conversational German in a real setting.
So to add on to that, I think it's important to point out, working in the United States during work hours, it's not uncommon to talk about personal things, how your weekend was, how your evening was, how your significant other is, or your children. Normally in Germany, those conversations will happen over lunch, they'll happen after work, they'll happen outside of working hours. When you're working, you're working.
So I think it's important to emphasize that if you really want to make meaningful connections with your colleagues and get to know them deep down, take the time during lunch or even after work to go grab a drink and get to know them better. It'll make a huge difference for both your interpersonal connections, but also your German language skills.
So, number 2. I'm from the Midwest United States. We have a reputation of being overly friendly. However, I can't tell you I've ever walked into a doctor's waiting room or a buffet at a hotel saying good morning to a bunch of strangers that I don't know.
But that's totally the case in Germany, especially at a work office setting.
This really caught me off guard for a pretty significant long length of time where everybody would walk through the entire office and say good morning to everybody. Working in the United States, that's not very common. Normally you'll walk into a room of people and go about your business. You might just be like, hi, what's up? You don't expect a response, but working in Germany, everybody says hello. Just like the first point above, authenticity is everything. It's something we can all learn from the German work culture. It's to greet your colleagues, it's to say hello, it's to get to know them, to say good morning, and really mean it.
I'm just a human in motion.
All right, so the third thing on our list is to make a schedule and to stick to it. I don't know, are any of you out there procrastinators? Anyone? Like I am, a little, right? One of the things that I have truly benefited from German work culture is to better allocate my time. Whether that's bi-weekly meetings with my PhD supervisor to talk about my progress, to making entire Gantt charts, planning out my entire dissertation 3 years in advance. One of the things that I've noticed from working in a German office is that planning is everything. Whether it's work, vacations, events, you name it, German offices are run very neat and tidy.
Yeah, like in my office, it's really common for my German colleagues to document and record everything that happens during a meeting.
Yeah, same here. I actually found that one of my German colleagues in my university office setting, after he has a meeting with his supervisor, he emails his notes from that meeting back to the supervisor to make sure that everything was understood, everything was clear, and that they're on the same page for their next meeting together.
Which is a really nice way of working. Personally, I take some pretty vague notes and I write things down on scratch paper, or at least I used to. But now I've really kind of learned to record every note with a date, email it back to the people who shared it, so everything is on the record from what they told me in case we have any challenges down the road.
And this can be a great asset if you're still learning German, especially when I started to make the transition of carrying on my meetings in a foreign language. I was only about 80% in terms of what I really understood. So it was incredibly important to be able to email my professor again and say, hey, I just want to make sure that I completely understood what your expectations are of me and what I can expect from you and the rest of my colleagues. It really is a great system.
So up next on the list, do it right the first time, no matter how long it takes. This gives us mixed feelings. On one hand, we appreciate how precise and methodical Germans are. There's a reason why German engineering is known to be the best in the world. German cars are the most reliable, the most dependable, the most detail-oriented, and some of the best experiences you can have on the road. But at the same time, it can be painful with how long some things can take.
Yeah, I heard a description once that put it, Americans are doers, Germans are thinkers. And when it comes to German work culture, I actually think that's a pretty apt description. And what I mean by that is that when it comes to approaching a problem, Americans tend to take the path of figure it out as we go and course correct along the way. Whereas Germans will stop, think about it, plan,
Gather the facts.
absolutely, decide what's the best way to move forward, and then they make a decision on how to fix whatever problem they're facing.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, it's not saying one is better than the other. Both of them can lead to a successful solution. It's just that the American approach is just go and figure it out as you go. In Germany, it's we wait, we plan, everything's done precisely, but it's guaranteed at the end it's perfect. So I moved to Germany in 2013 when I was 28 years old or something, a long time ago. But anyway, American work culture has been ingrained in me, and I have been trained and bred to get it done. Just go and problem solve. But German work culture has taught me to strategize, to think about it, and then get it done right the first time.
Maybe someday when I'm grown older.
So the fifth thing on the list that I think we can all learn from German work culture is to separate private life and work life while still finding a time to value them both.
I think before we go too much further here, we should give a bit of a background with American time off. When I started my first job out of college, I was given 7 days off for the entire first year. These aren't just vacation days. These are also including my sick days. If I had a cold, I can't come to the office, and that just knocks out one of my 7 days. That is it.
But if you think that's bad, before I moved to Germany, I've talked to you guys in previous videos that I was a full-time instructor at a university. And now granted, I only worked 9 months out of the year. Totally get it. But the starting vacation days I got were 2 days the entire school year. And every year I worked subsequently, I got a half a day extra. And I wish I was kidding, but during my HR onboarding, I actually asked them the question, so what happens if someone gets really sick and needs to take extra time off? And they legitimately told me, with all seriousness, that, oh, when somebody gets really sick, like with a disease or cancer, we have a vacation day drive where other people in the university will donate their time off to help make sure that they still get paid.
NASA mission manager. Mission management.
You think he means it like, are you kidding me? You know? Mm-hmm. Or like, are you kidding me?
I think it might be the second one.
So when I moved to Germany, I went from 7 days off, including sick days, to 26 days off. In the United States, that would have taken me 20 years at the same company.
But, this idea of separating work and life and valuing them both isn't just relative to time off. The German work culture actually really respects your time when you're away from the office, whether that's in the evenings when you're with your family or using some of those vacation time. When you're not at your desk, there's no expectation for you to continue working. There's no expectation for you to answer emails. So even if you decide to take a 3-week holiday, which is totally common in Germany, you're not expected to answer work emails or answer work calls. Your private time is yours. Take it. Enjoy it.
So the separation of work life and personal life isn't just our employers being nice. This is actually regulated by federal law. And if you're curious what that German law is, we have it right down here on the bottom of the screen, and it protects your working hours, your breaks, and your rest between shifts. So for example, you cannot be requested to work for more than 8 hours. You cannot be requested to work for more than 6 hours without a break. And once your 8-hour shift is over, you cannot work for 11 hours. And the American work culture is you work until it's done. It doesn't matter how long it takes. So even if you only have an 8-hour shift, you're going to stay at the office working until your job is done. And if it is done, you're going to go home and you're going to continue to answer and reply to your emails or answer phone calls. That is not uncommon.
Yeah, worker burnout is a real thing, and not having that burnout and coming to work feeling refreshed is something that we've really benefited from working here in Germany.
I can see it all clear from above, looking back on it all. Maybe I can see what was.
You know, and speaking of well-being, that brings us to our next point, which is that sick leave is not only in the benefit of your own health, but the health of the entire office. Now, some of you who may be watching this video might think, 26 days isn't that far off of what I get in the United States. But like we mentioned earlier, in the States, it's completely common that if you're sick and can't come to work, you have to take your PTO. In Germany, that is completely not the case. If you're sick with a cold, stay home. You don't need to get the rest of the office sick. In fact, here in Germany, you can take up to 3 consecutive sick days with no further action. If you're really ill and continue to need to stay home, you just go visit your local Hausarzt or your general practitioner, and they'll give you a doctor's note that will allow you to stay home up to 6 weeks with full pay protected. And in the unfortunate event that you get really, really sick and need to stay home for longer than those 6 weeks, 70% of your pay is protected for up to 78 weeks. That's a year and a half, which is incredible and unheard of by American standards.
You know, it makes a lot of sense for the sick days to be organized in this way because it is cheaper, more efficient, and better for the company to have one person stay home when they're sick rather than infecting the entire office. So it's logical, it makes sense.
But it also makes us feel so valued as employees that if we're feeling under the weather, that we don't feel penalized by taking the time to stay home and rest up and feel better. I think that's probably been one of the most life-changing things that we've learned from working here in Germany.
And it's not just you being sick. If your child is sick, companies will give you a predetermined amount of time where you're allowed to take a day off to care for your child who can't go to daycare or school.
And last but not least, the biggest thing that I think that Americans can learn from German work culture is relative to parental leave. And this is actually a pretty hot topic right now because at the time we're recording this video, it's a topic that's actually being currently debated in the Senate. But it's kind of mind-blowing that in the United States, there is no standard protected parental leave. Here in Germany, in the anticipation of Jack's birth, I actually got off of work 8 weeks before his due date, plus 12 weeks after he was born, completely full pay. And if I want to stay home for longer than those 12 weeks, I can take what's called Elterngeld. And Elterngeld is a set of money that is effectively 60% of your pay for 12 months following that protected Elternzeit. And that can actually be split between the mother and the father, which is amazing. And it can also even be extended for up to 2 years at 30% of your pay.
So coming from the United States, it blew me away how much Germany respects the time for the mom and the dad to take the time off to care for the new child, or for the dad to help care for the new mom who is still recovering rather than just going straight back to work.
And I should mention that during this time of parental leave, whether it's with the Elternzeit or Elterngeld, Not only is your income guaranteed, but your job is secure. It'll be there waiting for you when you come back.
One of the greatest things about this is there's flexibility when you want to take the time off. You don't have to take the time off when the baby's born. You can wait 6 months after and then take your Elternzeit.
So I should probably mention, I don't want to completely throw the states under the bus here. There are a lot of companies that offer extremely generous family packages that give new mothers and fathers time off when their new baby arrives. But it's important, I think, to note that none of this is federally standard.
So imagine if you were a family that was working paycheck to paycheck. You can't take this time off because you financially cannot support it. And that's what makes living in Germany so nice, is because the federal government prioritizes your personal life and your time with your family. Whether that time with your family is going on a vacation or it's supporting your wife who just had a child, and for your new baby to bond with parents.
So all in all, I really want to emphasize that, while I think there's a lot we can learn from Germany, it's by no means a perfect system. I think there's a mutual exchange of ideas that can happen here to where both work cultures can improve. But speaking as a couple who comes from the United States, is transplanted into German work culture jobs, there is a certain amount of culture shock that happens, but the vast majority of it has been so positive.
Yeah, and German work culture hasn't radically changed me. I still have my work ethic that I have from the United States, but I've been able to kind of adapt and learn with the methodical processes that we have here. I've been able to improve my productivity at my company and to be a better employee.
So, I actually think that this is an awesome opportunity in the video that before we let you go, we would love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you love about German work culture? What do you think that us Americans can continue to learn from you?
What part of American work culture do you admire?
And on the flip side, what are some of the things that you love the most about working in Germany? So now, as with all of our videos, we've written a blog post about it, and that'll be down in the link in the description. So if you want to learn more and expand upon this discussion, we would love it if you clicked on that link and checked it out.
And by the way, if you enjoyed what you saw today, hit that like button. And if you want to see more content from the Black Forest family, hit that subscribe button.
So, until next time.
Bis bald.
Tschüss!